Okay, hi Einav.
Hi, Sophie. Hi.
So nice to see you. And I'm so excited that we're going to be, or not we, I am going to be interviewing you today. And I can't wait. We've just been chatting a little bit before we got started, and everything you have to share is just so interesting and so fascinating. So thank you very much for asking me here today.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here. And maybe just for anyone listening and watching, just to say briefly who I am. My name's Sophie Runciman, and I'm a sales and business coach. And I've been in the coaching space for about 5 years now, and I really specialize in helping coaches feel so much better about sales and just performance in general. It's really getting you moving from where you are and to where you want to be. And Anaf and I met just over a year ago now, and we've been working closely together. You've been helping me a lot over the last 6 months, and so it's really such an honor for me to be here with you today, and to be able to just hear so much more about you and share it with the viewers who are going to be watching this interview.
Thank you, Sophie. I really appreciate you, and thank you so much for being here with me today.
Okay, well, shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I think to start us off, why don't you just tell us about yourself? Tell us your story. Tell us about what you do.
Yes, yes, it's a good place to start. So yeah, my name is einav avni. No one can ever pronounce the first name, but that's okay. It's einav, einav avni. And now I call myself a pain-free living mentor. It's this is really the end result, really. I mean, my story started, when I was younger and feeling really not finding myself. I was a very shy, not very confident kid. Really couldn't find my place, my space. I didn't know who I was, what I was meant to do. I didn't feel I was capable or lovable. It was a lot of turmoil for me growing up. But I stuck with it, and it wasn't, until many years later when I got married to the wrong person. But it wasn't until I actually managed to split up with this guy that I recognized that actually I couldn't do this anymore. That I needed something else. I couldn't live life through fears and uncertainties and not being confident and being shy. I recognized I just didn't know who I was, but this didn't feel right.
Mm.
And so I ended up seeking out a therapist that turned out to be, very drunk on the first meeting that we had together. And through the fume of, whatever drink he was having, he said the words that really changed my life. He said, "My dear, you're simply lacking the powers of your own convictions." And I was like, it was like my mind just exploded, and I was like, that's exactly it. I just didn't know who I was, and I didn't believe in myself, and I, what do I do with this? And so from that moment on, I decided to change my life around, to turn my life around and say, actually, wherever I felt fear, I was just going to go and do it. So really feel the fear and do it anyway, kind of thing. So I started having this kind of formula in my head that said, do you want to do it? Yes. Does it scare you? Hell yes. Fine, do it. If it's going to kill you, don't do it. But otherwise, just go for it. And really, what happened was a huge transformation of my life. So I did my diving course. I did a teach English teaching English as a foreign language course. You obviously can't tell about it anymore because
Oh no.
but I did things that I wouldn't dare do, and I just did it. And then with
Amazing.
this, teaching English certificate, I went to Mongolia to teach English, and then I went backpacking, and then I came back to the UK to do my master's, and I never thought I could be a student. All of these things, one thing just led to another, and at the end of all of these experiences and adventures, I realized that actually I was the most courageous and most adventurous person in the room. People would just say, "Oh, I wish I could do it," and no one ever done anything. And here I was, this shy person that never really, dared to do anything. And here I was the one that was doing. And that changed everything for me. And so after my degree, which was user experience design, I went to start working in that, and I had a wonderful career. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But then at the end of the period, it was too much politics, and I was like, do you know what? No, I need to do something else. And then I decided to just jump into coaching and mentoring, which I did. And then that was about 5 or 6 years ago that I've done the course. And then I guess I just mentioned that I mean, actually, immediately after the course finished, I thought, okay, mind body connection, it's calling me. I want to do this. I want to help people heal when they understand about their emotions, and they can understand about the internal fights that we have with the unconscious mind and the negative voice. When they understand all of this, they will see that healing is possible. And so immediately after the course, I joined some chronic pain groups on Facebook, and I put in like a post there, and immediately managed to make some people really angry. And I was like, the lack of confidence and the fear of waking giants and all of that just came back, and I was like, and I took a step back, turn around, and run away. And I understood that I couldn't stay in that place because I wasn't ready. But this experience really taught me a lot about people with chronic pain. Like, first of all, how challenging it was for them to make people believe that they're really suffering from stuff, because a lot of the time it was hidden illnesses or conditions. And the other thing was that they are a lot of the time are so attached to the pain or the illness, because it's been their fight for such a long time. It's now part of their identity. So here I was saying, hey, I can help you heal, was not the right message for them. But that took another 5 years of of growth to get back to and to understand what happened. And so as I ran away from healing and chronic pain and stuff, I went into confidence and empowerment. And in that realm, I was really focusing on exactly my experience, recognizing that we have two sides inside of us. We have the unconscious mind, which is the most incredible thing there is. It has the blueprint of the best version of ourselves, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so if we only listen to our unconscious mind, we're going to, we are on the home run, basically. But what tends to happen is a lot of the time we actually bump up the negative self-talk that says, we can't do it because you're going to fail, you're not good enough, just don't do it. And so that's what I was doing for a lot of the time, helping people recognize that they're listening to the wrong voice within them. And just to finish this story, I recognized that actually now I want to do more. I want to do exactly that. Talk to people about the two voices, but use it more specifically in the realm of chronic pain, chronic illnesses, and unexplained medical conditions. This is, in a nutshell, me.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for explaining all that, and what a transformation within yourself. And I know that now, you work very, very closely with the emotion and body code. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. The emotion and body codes are two energy healing modalities that were invented or channeled by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And the idea of these two modalities is that really we are all energy. And as such, our natural energy flow is very important. But what happens is that when we go through emotional events or traumas that we can't process, the energy of the emotions become trapped in our bodies. Now, because each emotion has a size and a shape, they're really pressing on organs and glands and really block our natural energy flow. So, because we're not very good at processing our emotions, you can imagine how all of this is impacting our health, our energy, our moods, our everything really. And so the emotion code is a list of 60 emotions that we go through, and we say, okay, what emotions are actually blocking this idea that you have, or this pain or discomfort that you're experiencing. And as we are removing emotions, you really feel like you feel lightened. You feel, that things are changing. You can do things better. And this is really important, because actually the more we release emotions, basically we give the body back its innate ability to heal itself. So this feeling of, being lighter, being more energized is just, yes, that's what happens. And of course, if you're in pain, the pain will also reduce or go sometimes as well. The body code is a little bit more involved. It's actually an app that I use, and of course, I didn't mention, but to use both of these, I need to connect with the person's subconscious mind. And then with the app, I'm being guided by the subconscious mind of the other person to say, these are the trapped emotions or imbalances that are going on in the body. And basically, when I find everything, I can release. And again, that's when people feel change. So it's fascinating. Sometimes when I walk with the body code, I don't know where I'm taken, right? It's not about me. It's all about, I am being guided by the person's subconscious mind. So sometimes things are going, I'm like, I don't see the connection between one thing and the next, but the person is like, I understand it perfectly. It makes so much sense. So it's always fascinating to me.
So amazing. And I had the flu a couple of weeks ago, and I remember, I didn't tell you I had the flu, but you asked me, would I like to have the body code? And I sort of said, yes, that would be great. And you found out that I wasn't eating, which was so true. And you told me exactly what my body wanted to have, which I think it's broccoli and tomato. It was like, yeah, okay, I can do that. So it's very, very simple. But I was so blown away because you connected to my subconscious, and it was absolutely spot on. And I just love how, even to begin with a session, it's not, you don't have to come to you with anything. You can just see what actually does your body or your emotions, what is wanting to be worked on today.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And so what made you decide to work with these two codes, like the emotion code and the body code?
Yes. Well, so like I said, I was always, ever since my studies, I was so fascinated with the unconscious mind, and I believed in it, and I tell other people about it, and I share about it, and I'm so excited about it, and I'm so much that my daughter's actually banned me from using this word in the house. But one day I happened to watch Bradley Nelson on Hay House Summit, and he was telling about the emotion code it was, and he was doing a demonstrations, and I was like, this is it. This is something that I have to get to know more, because it's everything. It's, I found another person that believes in the unconscious mind so much like me, and he's doing magic, and I have to know how to do this. So I ordered the book, the emotion code book, and it was really interesting for me, because one of my clients got in touch with me around that time, and she said that her daughter had a terrible experience. She witnessed a fatal accident. The girl was, I think, 17 at the time, and of course she couldn't stop crying. It really impacted her mood and everything. And I was like, yeah, let's have a conversation. So I spoke with her, and we managed to turn things around. I could really see that she was feeling better within herself. But 2 weeks later, the mum, my client, got in touch again. She said, yes, she was okay. And now she's again not so okay. Can you do something about it? And by that time, I started reading the book, and I was like, let me try, because the book says you can walk with people. Of course, as long as you're not charging them, everything is fine. So I didn't know enough to do muscle testing, which is how I usually walk with people, but I was able to show the girl how to do it for herself. So she said yes, she will do it, and I told her how to do, what to do, and then we found one emotion. It was, I can't remember if it was panic or horror, but we found it and we released it. And the transformation with this girl was unbelievable. It was like night and day. She was moody and withdrawn and so upset. And as soon as the emotion left, it was like a cloud disappeared, and she was back to being happy and excited, and just a nice, lovely little girl, not little, but And then when I saw it, because I was watching her on the other side of the computer, and I could see that, and I was like, I have goosebumps. I have to do this. I have to take this and use it in the world. And that was the beginning. So I went and I did my certificates, and now I'm really, that's what I do. I bring it to people, and it's not just emotional stuff that they're going through. It's really a lot of it is about the physical illnesses and symptoms that people are suffering from.
Wow, that's so powerful. And you know what I love about what you do, Einav, what makes you so special is that you have all your coaching background and the performance coaching and helping people not listen to the inner voice, the negative inner voice, but really go for what they want. And with these two codes, you can go really deep and combine the two. And I mean, the results you get are just phenomenal. I don't know, Mick, because I know you've told me about clients before where they've had severe chronic pain, and you've managed to kind of like work miracles in a way. It's how it seems. Maybe you'd like to share a little bit about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is one of my clients that, yes, when I met him, he was on a consistent chronic pain of 9 to 10 out of 10. So I mean, he couldn't sit, he couldn't stand, he couldn't walk, couldn't lie down. It was terrible. When I met him, it was desperate, and it was heartbreaking. And so with him, when I started working with him, I didn't have the body codes and the emotion codes knowledge yet. So we really started by going back to what I was, after my studies about the mind-body connection, and talking about how he, in a sense, was repeating patterns and habits that he already created for himself. And because he was so much in pain and he was just consumed by the pain, even without realizing it, he was repeating things that were not necessarily helpful. So, one thing, was, for example, he was constantly Googling things about his conditions and how he was feeling. And of course, every time he was worried and scared about whatever he was feeling, it reinforced it. So all of these things, although he didn't recognize or didn't realize that he was doing that, he was reinforcing the pain, reinforcing the state of mind of fear and worry around the pain. And so even on the first conversation that we had, we said, actually, I was able to take him a little bit backwards from the pain. So he wasn't so consumed by it. I was basically distracting him. I was able to show him that, there is still hope. He can have life back if he just started doing a few things differently. And the beautiful thing with him was that he said after the very first conversation, he felt 20% better. And, for someone who is feeling 9 or 10 out of 10, 20% better is a lot. It's massive. And he's such a beautiful soul. And we met every week afterwards, and really starting to look at the fears and the conditioning and everything that basically brought him to where he was. And I asked him very early on, I said, what is the gift that this pain is bringing you? And some people say, oh, gift, I don't like it, take it away, I don't want it. But when you look at it as a gift, he was able to see that actually he didn't have his life. He was so consumed by his PhD and the studies and stuff that he didn't take time for himself. He had no joy in life. It was just about the studying, which was also frustrating, and there was a lot of pain and negativity in that environment. So really, we started unpacking all of this and looking at what he was experiencing at that moment, and of course, going back to what he was experiencing, as a child, and really looking at everything in his life. And now, I mean, it took about, I think, 10 years, 10 months for him to go from 9 or 10 out of 10. Now he's pain free, and it's mind blowing and it's incredible. And the amazing thing now is that if he feels pain, he knows that now the pain, if there is pain coming back, he knows that it's a guide to show him, to take him somewhere that he needs to tweak, he needs to understand, he needs to look back into his life and saying, how am I out of alignment? How am I doing something or about to do something that doesn't agree with me? To me, this is everything.
That really is amazing. And I think, what it shows is that you guide your clients, and it can take a longer time. I mean, 10 months is not long in the grand scheme of things. It's amazingly quick. And I know that with some people, it is a very quick process. It can just be a matter of 2, 3 months, maybe, or even shorter. But I think what shows through to me is that you guide them, but they also need to do the work. If you give them homework, or you tell them this, your body's telling you you need this, or and this young client of yours, I presume he was young, doing a PhD. No, not necessarily, but he was obviously willing. And I guess when you're at that level of pain and you're open to release it, then I guess you would do everything you say.
I think it's important to understand, when we just started working together, he had no hope. And
Yes.
he just agreed to talk with me because there was nothing he could lose, really. And then when
Mm.
he noticed that he was feeling better, then of course he was like, right, I understand and I want to do more of that. His pain went down from 9 to 10 to around 5 or 4, in no time. It was
Mm.
the 5 and lower that took the longer
Wow.
time. And
Yeah.
when you have 5 after such a long time that it was a 10, it's manageable. And now you can do things. And people with chronic pain, I remember from having my own pain at some point in my life, is that you can't do anything. You are so impatient, and everything annoys you, and everything is you really are consumed by the pain.
Yeah.
Because it's there. You're constantly feeling it. You're constantly being scared by it. So what I see a lot of the time is that people, going back to these people initially that I mentioned that go angry with my posts, this is now in the identity level. So they don't want the pain, but they don't know who they're going to be when the pain goes away. So it has to be set at very specific kind of people that said, you know what, I'm scared. I don't know who I'm going to be when the pain goes away, but it has to be better than what it is at the moment. So there is a lot of, as you say, self-work or self-commitment or agreement, or at least trust that together we can do it. And I think because it doesn't, it's not overnight change, I think that's a good thing, because it slowly prepares you to the life that you're going to be able to have again, once the pain and the conditions disappear or reduce or disappear.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. And also, when you think about it, pain probably, unless maybe it's an accident, but often it doesn't happen overnight either. It develops over years or even decades. So it stands to reason that it's not going to go away overnight either.
Yeah. Well, actually, with chronic pain, it needs to be, what makes it chronic, it is that it's at least 3 months in the making, because
Mm.
otherwise it takes the body around 3 months to heal itself if it was just an accident. But if it's longer than 3 months, then the body itself would maybe has healed, but there are all of these trapped emotions and imbalances that are still in the body. And of course, there's all the mental emotional connection that is making it there. And this is really interesting as well, because a lot of the time people will feel pain and they will go to the doctor, and the doctor immediately, arrange some scans and blood tests or, stuff like that, and say, yeah, there's something that is structurally wrong with your body. And then now you have a diagnosis, and now you're buying into this diagnosis. And the thing is that because they believe it's structural, the only solution is structural, right? It's operations, it's surgeries, it's pills, it's all of these things. And here I am, and I'm saying, actually, most of the time chronic pain is not structurally based. It's emotionally, mentally based. This is the source, is the mentally emotionally connection. But it doesn't mean that the pain is not real. The pain is real. The pain is 100% real, and it's terrible. But it's a good thing that we understand that the source is not that something that is structurally wrong with you, but actually that there is a mental emotional connection here. And so
Yeah.
now we can say, okay, so where are you limiting your lives? What is the trauma? What is the thing, the event that happened when you started with all the pain? What is happening in your life? And slowly, we're able to see that, the pain that you're feeling is actually because your brain is saying this thing of, you can't deal with emotions. When you feel emotions, you go into hyper alert, you go into hyper stress, all of that. So I am learning that emotions are not good. But what is good, something that you can probably deal with better, is the pain. So instead of giving you, making you aware of your emotions, it is giving you the pain. It's a distraction mechanism. And so what we are doing when we're working together, we're also starting to, to basically teach the brain that actually I can do emotions. I am willing to do emotions. Emotions are good, and I prefer emotions to the, to the physical pain. So in all of that, there's a lot of different kinds of conversations that is going on. It's really about understanding what is the trauma, what is the event, what is the messages that you are giving yourself, how are you reinforcing the pain and the conversations, and what can you do instead? And of course, in the way that I work with people now, I do it in kind of one time we are having a conversation. So it's really about learning about how to deal with the emotions and the traumas and the rage. And then we do another session of energy healing. So it's kind of intertwined, which basically gives you the best chances of healing, because it's emotional, but it's also we are clearing all of everything that needs to be cleared from your system. So very, very effective, but also very rewarding.
I love that. That sounds so amazing. I know it is amazing. And in a way, it's combining the scientific, like that's maybe the wrong word, but like the analytical side with the creative free side,
Yeah.
which I think is also so fitting to you because your background was in user design. It's kind of more analytical now, and then into coaching, which is so creative. And you're combining the two with the talking side, but also having this code, which really is an analytical tool which connects with the other person. I mean, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'd love to know, do when people come to you and they've maybe never heard of the emotion code before or the body code, and they're in pain and they've maybe tried lots of things and doctors are not able to help them, because I know you get people come to you who are really at their wits' end and they don't have hope, and you give them hope. So
Yeah.
anyone who's maybe listening and in this situation or knows someone in this situation, would you say that they have to believe in it in order for it to work?
It's a really good question, and I hear it all the time. And there is a nice little story that I like to tell about my mum, because she's like the number one skeptic, and like, she said, leave me alone. I don't care, I don't believe in it, just leave me alone. Oh yeah, okay. And then she's telling me about she had some really bothering pain at the back of her skull, and she said this pain will just come when she was sleeping, and it would wake her up, and it was so painful. She was actually worried because it was coming nearly every night, and she was about to go to the doctor. And I was like, let me try, okay? It doesn't happen. If it's not working, fine, go to the doctor, but let me see what I can do. She was like, yeah, whatever, just do what you need to do. And so I connected with her subconscious mind, and I found something, it wasn't very much actually. It was something at the back of the tonsils, or the adenoids, something at the back of the throat, which basically, she was feeling it at the skull, but it was actually from inside the mouth. So I cleared it, and that was it. And as so often happen, I discover is that people can go through incredible pain, and as soon as it disappears, they don't remember that they ever had it. So I asked her a couple of days later. I said, how is your pain? And she's like, uh, I don't know, it's not there.
That's amazing. What pain.
Yeah, and then it never came back. So I was like, if I can do
Fantastic.
it with my mom, I can do it with anyone. But yes, a
Mm.
lot of people they feel, because they don't really understand it. Sometimes they think, oh, it's woohoo. Sometimes they think, oh, I only trust doctors. And of course we have to use the doctors. We have to go them. We have to go and have that conversation. But when that doesn't work, before you have an operation, before you commit to something that, a lifelong of, pills and stuff, come and give this a try, because I've seen incredible transformations in people. I had one client, she was suffering for a long time with fibromyalgia, and it took 3 or 5 sessions. We're not exactly sure how many, but between 3 and 5 sessions, when she all of a sudden she realized that the symptoms were not there anymore. And
Amazing.
it was just like that, and something that has been there for such a long time and just wasn't. So really, really encourage people to give this a try, because it does feel like magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it must do. I mean, fibromyalgia and anything like pain, we've all had pain at some point. Like, I'm very lucky not to have chronic pain, but I know what pain is, and you just want it to stop. And when you are able to work, with your tools and make it stop, I mean, it is like a miracle. Amazing. So, what would be, let's say someone's watching and wants to get in touch with you, what would be their next step to get moving towards working with you?
Yeah, moving forward, that's a good
Yeah.
place to be. I really recommend just come onto my website. It's untangledhealing.com. Find the button that says, book a chat, and let's have a chat. It's really about the connection. It's about, understanding what is happening in your life, what brought the pain on, what have you already tried, what are you hoping. So this connection will really help us decide together if we want to walk together or not. But it's already a place where you can start. You can be heard maybe on levels that you were not heard before, and even that will already make things better. So I really hope that if anyone is watching, please do get in touch. Let's connect. Let's get to know each other a little bit.
Wonderful. That's really nice to know. And from, I mean, how I know you, I know that you are so honest with your work, you're so ethical, and you really want the best for everyone you meet. And I know 100% if you don't think you can help, you will say that, but I doubt that happens because I think you really can help anyone, right? I mean, really, the body code, the emotion code, there's not really anything it can't work on, is there?
Yeah, no, it's really, it can do it can work on, it can improve at least anything and everything, because even if there is an illness or an ailment that I can't I can't say heal, because it's not me doing the healing, it's the body that does the healing, but at least I can take the emotions or the trapped emotions or imbalances away, so really giving your body the chance to heal itself. So even if I can't take it away completely, I can 100% make it better. That's for sure.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Einav. It's been such a pleasure and so interesting listening to you speak today. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
Sophie, so much. And thank you for anyone watching. Thank you.